Morning. My name is Assemblymember Haney. I represent San Francisco, and I am the author of AB 1181. I first want to thank the Pasadena Firefighters Local 809 for hosting us this morning, and the members who are standing here behind us, as well as firefighters from my local 798 from San Francisco, and the California Professional Firefighters and their president, Brian Rice, who you're going to hear from soon. There are over 50,000 firefighters in California. Every single one of them go out there and protect us every day. They fight fires, they help people who are in emergencies, they confront some of the most urgent and dangerous challenges that we face, and they protect us. And when they go out there, they should know that we are protecting them. That we are giving them the highest quality, the most advanced gear, and gear that actually keeps them safe rather than puts them at harm's way. Unfortunately, right now, those 50,000 plus firefighters are going out and protecting us with gear that is causing them harm and putting them at risk. Firefighters' gear in California have within it a chemical that we have recognized in our state is dangerous and should be away from human beings. PFAS, a forever chemical because it stays in materials and can stay in your bloodstream for long amounts of time, is a known carcinogen. It causes cancer. There is no doubt about it. And tragically and unacceptably, all turnout gear that firefighters currently wear contain PFAS, this forever chemical that resists water, oil, and heat. PFAS is not only linked to different cancers, it also can cause immune system suppression and reproductive harm. Independent lab tests have found PFAS in every layer of firefighter gear, from the outer shell to the moisture barrier. Gear can shed toxic fibers as it degrades over time from heat, UV exposure, and repeated use, putting firefighters in long-term risk. 26 distinct PFAS chemicals have been found embedded in the gear, making exposure unavoidable once it's worn. PFAS, as I said, has already been banned from many types of products and materials in California. You can't put it in toys, you can't put it in packaging, you can't put it in makeup, yet it is still found in every form of firefighter gear. That is unacceptable, and we urgently and immediately have to change that. Cancer has surpassed fire-related injuries and heart disease as the #1 cause of firefighter deaths. Firefighters are twice as likely to develop cancer and significantly more likely to face prostate and kidney cancers. We know that this is connected to the ways in which they are exposed to carcinogens like PFAS. Firefighters are routinely exposed to a deadly mix of toxic chemicals, not just in smoke, but also from their gear. Some have had to retire or undergo multiple surgeries in their 40s and 50s due to cancer diagnoses, and you will not meet a single firefighter who is currently serving or retired who does not know somebody that they served with who has cancer or who has died of cancer. California is now falling behind in protecting our firefighters. Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, and Rhode Island have already passed bans on PFAS in gears with full phase-outs by 2027 to 2028. Firefighters are demanding that California act, that we ban this chemical that we have already recognized is deadly and cancer-causing from the gear that they're required to wear every day. California prides itself on environmental and health leadership. We also, I hope, pride ourselves in standing with our firefighters. And that's a reason why we're here in Pasadena, to say thank you to our firefighters, over 7,000 of them who just this year were forced to confront one of the most deadly and devastating natural disasters that our state has ever faced. They faced it with courage. They ran towards the danger, and they should know that when they do that, that Californians have their back and that we're protecting them, not putting them in harm's way by putting them out with gear that itself can cause harm. This bill ensures that California's occupational safety and health standards will develop a standard to ban cancer-causing chemicals like PFAS from being used in firefighter turnout gear by 2027. Firefighters protect us, let's protect them. And I'm very proud to have in this fight someone who is a new assembly member, but who has stepped up to protect this surrounding community here as they face these deadly wildfires, and has immediately stepped up to stand with firefighters as the joint author on this bill, and who represents this area here in Pasadena, Assemblymember John Harabedian.
Thank you, Assemblymember Haney. I am Assemblymember John Harabedian. Welcome to Assembly District 41. The heart of this district is Pasadena, and the heart and soul of this district are our firefighters. And I'm honored to be here with the men and women of Local 809, who, as Assemblymember Haney said, these are heroes. We just fought a few months ago the Eaton fire, and the men and women behind me were on the front lines of that fight, keeping our community safe in our darkest hour, some of whom lost everything. Some of whom lost their own homes, lost the places where they actually worship. And I think the only way that we can honor them is to make sure that we are doing everything to keep them safe and healthy in their workplace. No one should show up to work every day worried about their health and safety. Firefighters obviously go to work every day risking their lives. They know that they have to fight fires, they have to help us. But what they don't sign up for is putting on clothing and protective gear that gives them cancer. It's grotesque. And in a civilized society, we should be better than this. Our firefighters should have the best protective gear possible. They should know that every day that they come to work, they're putting on gear that keeps them protected and healthy. It doesn't cause them harm. And this secret and silent killer is a problem. And as Assemblymember Haney said, it is causing cancer at extremely high rates amongst our firefighters. And so this bill is very simple, and I'm honored to be a joint author of 1181. It's about protecting those who protect us. It's about keeping safe those that keep us safe. And it's the right thing to do. And we're going to keep pushing this bill through the legislature. We're going to keep pushing this bill until it gets on the governor's desk. And we're going to be very proud, and we're going to celebrate once the governor signs this into law, and we actually catch up with other states. California leads the nation in so many things. We should be leading on this issue, and I want to thank Assemblymember Haney for being a dog with a bone on this issue. I'll tell you, before I even became an Assemblymember, Assemblymember Haney came to me about this bill, and I said I'm 100% in support. I want to be a joint author, and I want to make sure that this gets coastal, southern, northern, inland support. This is throughout the state, and I want to thank Assemblymember Patrick Ahrens for being here from Sunnyvale. This is a coalition that is going to stand behind our firefighters no matter what. And at the end of the day, to the extent that anything needs to be done to keep our heroes safe, we will do it. This is one small step. We will keep pushing for regulations and legislation to keep our men and women in uniform safe. And with that, I'm going to bring up one of our heroes here from Local 89, our president, Rafi Bachachian, who's one of the first responders on the Eaton fire. He's been a leader throughout this state as a firefighter, and we are proud to call him one of our own. Rafi, please come up.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us here in city of Pasadena. My name is Rafi Bachachian. I'm the president for Pasadena Firefighters Local 809. I would like to thank all the other locals joining us here today and standing in support, as well as the assembly members and President Brian Rice. I've been a firefighter here in the city of Pasadena for 17 years, and I'm grateful for the opportunity I've been given to serve my community and my fellow firefighters. But unfortunately, reality of being a firefighter is that cancer is part of our lives. And I've witnessed this far too often. We have had to navigate the effects of cancer currently amongst our very own firefighters. When a firefighter is diagnosed with cancer, it doesn't just affect them. It impacts their family, their brothers and sisters in the fire service, and the entire community. All these firefighters here can share a story of one of their beloved brothers or sisters who have been taken away from us too soon. We come together to support each other as best we can, and we have been working tirelessly to reduce our exposures to cancer-causing materials, but we can't do this alone. Although we have made great strides culturally to try and reduce our exposures, our fight against cancer is not over. As we've seen this year more than ever, firefighters are willing to run headfirst into danger to protect others, but this fight, we need you to support to keep ourselves safe. We need the gear that protects us from all dangers without having to worry if wearing it will be the one thing that makes us sick. At the end of the day, we want to assure that our firefighters make it back to their homes and their families safe and sound. We need California to lead the way on developing standards that don't allow for one toxic chemical to be substituted for another, all for the sake of passing a test that has no bearing on the way we actually work. And we need the support of our elected officials and community to pass AB 1181. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Sina Riahi. I'm proud to serve as the treasurer of San Francisco Firefighters, Local 798, along with President Alec Koff. Let me start by saying that this has taken many attempts and far too long to get to this point. For years, we've watched too many of our brothers and sisters suffer and die from cancer. In 2006, our brother Tony Stefani created the San Francisco Firefighters Cancer Prevention Foundation. And since then, over 300 firefighters have lost their courageous fights with cancer. And just last month, we had to pay our respects to another one of our active duty members who lost his courageous fight with pancreatic cancer. As firefighters, we accept the risks that come with the job. We knew about building collapses, we knew about smoke, we knew about the fire, but we never knew that our turnout gear was laced with PFAS chemicals. All three layers of the protective clothing contain PFAS. They leach into our bodies, especially when we're exposed to intense heat. The very equipment that we use to keep others safe is making us sick. That's why it's important to support AB 1181. This bill will direct the state board to keep our personal protective equipment in line with our health and safety goals. AB 1181 will align our safety with these long-term goals. There's nothing more important to us than making sure that firefighters are able to live safe lives after they retire. On behalf of the nearly 1,700 members of the San Francisco Firefighters Local 798, I want to thank Assemblymember Matt Haney and his colleagues for supporting this. Let's pass this bill and remove cancer from the fire service. And with that, I'd like to introduce President of California Professional Firefighters, Brian Rice.
Good morning. My name is Brian Rice. I'm the president of the California Professional Firefighters, and I represent over 35,000 firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics across California. And I'd like to thank Assemblymember Haney for authoring AB 1181 and inviting me to speak today. And also, I'd like to thank Assemblymember Harbedian for hosting this event in his district and for his strong support of firefighters. I've known Assemblymember Haney when he was a supervisor in San Francisco. This issue was first and foremost on his mind. I met Assemblymember Harbedian when he was the mayor of Sierra Madre, and firefighter safety was paramount for him too. When I started this job over 30 years ago, toxic substances and carcinogenic exposures, they just weren't something that we worried about. And it's something that we were exposed to on a daily basis. We never thought about it. We knew our jobs were dangerous, but we didn't know the extent of the risks that we faced. And the risks that we faced outside of the inherent dangers of fighting fires. It was the chemical exposure. But over the course of my career and my time leading this organization, the California Professional Firefighters, we know better. And what we've learned is tragic and infuriating. Over decades, cancer has become the #1 killer of firefighters, and it's a killer in the line of duty. That is a line of duty death. This year, half of the names going on the Firefighters Memorial in California will have died from occupational cancer. Every firefighter standing behind me today knows somebody that has had to deal with cancer on the job or they've known somebody that they've lost on the job to cancer. While some of the cancer-causing exposures we face are part of our work, we understand that. What we've learned in recent years about the risk posed to firefighters were the very garments we wear and the very people that we trusted to provide us with safety gear that we call, think about this, quote unquote, safety gear. We're impregnating it with cancer-causing forever chemicals, PFAS, and we didn't know. And nobody stood up for us to call it out. Not the NFPA, not the federal government, not federal OSHA, not Cal OSHA. We didn't know. There's been much discussion in recent years about PFAS. They're linked to many different kinds of cancers, and we found that it's in the gear that we wear today. And to make matters worse, the companies that were made aware of it decided to make PFAS-free gear. They used other substitutes that are cancer-causing flame retardants to use instead of PFAS. They did a bait and switch on the very people that protect your communities, the firefighters. PFAS is used in everything from packaging food, in plastics, in our clothing. It's everywhere. It's in our textiles. But here in California, we're saying enough is enough. We started with our firefighting foams and the bans on that, and now we're starting with our protective gear and to begin the bans on PFAS. I'm going to tell you that right now, we don't have a gear or a garment that is safe and PFAS-free. There are several manufacturers that are claiming they have PFAS-free gear, but until we test it ourselves scientifically, we won't believe it. AB 1181 will require Occupational Safety and Health Standards Board to modify the existing safety order for firefighter PPE, or personal protective equipment, to create a standard that actually eliminates the use of PFAS and other regrettable substances. And I will tell you, California is going to be the first to lead the way in developing a standard for safety gear that is PFAS-free. And we'll develop it here in California, and the manufacturers can respond to us. Our gear has to be safe, and it has to be effective. We won't accept anything less. We owe it to the men and women of the California Fire Service. I owe it as the president of their union, to their families, to make sure that they're provided gear that is safe and effective and doesn't cause cancer. As I close this out, I think about Sacramento Metro Fire, where I worked, and last year they lost firefighter Anthony Benalicia, a 32-year-old member that died of occupational cancer, and he leaves behind a wife and a 4-year-old. Sina talked about the member that they just lost in San Francisco. We're drawing the line in the sand. The manufacturers aren't our friends. The textile mills aren't our friends. They had a chance to protect us. NFPA had a chance to protect us, and they didn't do it. In California, the only people that are going to stand up for firefighters in California are California firefighters and the state of California and the communities that we protect. So I ask you and every member of the Assembly, as AB 1181 moves through, to please be supportive. We thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you again to Brian, to Sina, to Rafi, to Assemblymember Harabedian and Assemblymember Ahrens, who's here, to Alex, president of Local 798, to all of the firefighters who are here, especially from Local 809, and all of the firefighters across the state who have raised their voices in support of this bill and in support of this much needed and overdue change. Firefighters are required to wear safety gear. They're required by the state of California to wear it. That gear should actually keep them safe, not give them cancer. It is infuriating, it is shocking, and I think for people who are hearing this for the first time, it's almost hard to believe that this is the case right now in California. For years, maybe California could have said that they didn't know, but California absolutely knows that PFAS causes cancer, and it is in firefighter gear. It's time to ban it completely, as well as all other cancer-causing chemicals from firefighter gear, period. That's what this bill will do. We've already done it with toys. You can't get PFAS from food packaging anymore, mattresses, dental floss, all of these things. no longer contain PFAS because it's dangerous to human beings. Yet we're still putting over 50,000 firefighters out there every single day with this in their gear. It is unacceptable. It is deadly. And the last thing I'll say is that our hearts are with all of the families and friends and loved ones who have had someone in their lives, a firefighter, who has been lost because of cancer. We know that we can do better, we can save lives, and we owe it to all of these folks who are missing a loved one to make sure that this does not happen to anyone else ever again because of something we know we can prevent. There are certain risks and dangers that we can't prevent. We know that firefighters risk their lives. This one we can prevent. This one we can do better. This one we can make sure that the gear that is supposed to protect firefighters actually does so and doesn't cause cancer and other diseases that can kill them. And so I thank you everyone for being here. AB 1181 has moved out of the State Assembly and is now in the State Senate. It will be taken up in the next few weeks in State Senate committees. It received overwhelming bipartisan support, thankfully, in the Assembly, and will be heard in the State Senate, will be voted on within the State Senate in the coming weeks. Could end up on the governor's desk sometime before mid-September, and then would be signed into law, we hope, by the end of the year, and would become law next year. So that's the timeline. I know that's often a question that folks have in terms of where this sits now, but I'll also open it up if there are other questions about this bill, what it will do, and what impact it would have.
Yes, the International Association of Firefighters does have a class action suit pending in court.
And is it all there, just the Romex, the yellow, or is it everything you're wearing, the blues too, or what is causing it?
Primarily what we're dealing with right now would be the turnout bunker, the structural gear, and the PFAS material is put into the gear as a UV protector and a flame spread protector, and it's used mostly on the inner lining, which is very troubling to us because the inner lining rarely sees the sun. It's inside, and portion of it is UV protection, and the other is a flame spread test, which leaves a lot of firefighters scratching their heads. You know, if your inner liner, if you've had flame inside your bunker gear, that's the least of your problems. So these tests, in my opinion, are manufacturer generated and supported by the NFPA and the industry that makes money off firefighters. That's the way I see it.
You said there's other states that have already gotten rid of it?
There are several states that are in the process. A lot of that comes out of the firefighting foam and banning that foam for use because it contains PFAS too. The U.S. military was a big user of it. They've had bans in place for quite some time. The hard part with the safety gear is right now there's not a manufacturer that makes safety gear that is PFAS free. We're hearing rumblings that a textile mill has done it, but fool me once, that's our fault, not twice. We're not gonna, you get one strike, and if a manufacturer claims that they have a PFAS-free textile for a garment, we will test it ourselves because what we've found is they bait and switched us.
So those states don't already have something.
Not yet. Everybody's working on the same, really working on the same bans.
And you know, California has been at the forefront of banning PFAS from other types of materials. We also have in many ways been at the forefront of protecting firefighters, and so this would get California much more actively in creating standards and regulations around firefighter gear, and that would drive, we believe, nationwide change around what is included in gear. If for our tens of thousands of firefighters we have a standard that it cannot include cancer-causing materials like PFAS, and that we test it, that we certify it here in California. We believe that will create a standard around gear that will actually protect many hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of firefighters now and in the future all over the country. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.